So that's another foreign trip almost done. And what do we make of it? Prime Minister Modi's job in Paris was relatively easy. No points of friction, no major demands or concerns. It was all about building further. And that's been the hallmark of India-France relations. Paris is actually India's first strategic partner. The agreement was signed in the year 1998. Even the Russian strategic agreement came after that in the year 2000. So France is an old and trusted partner. But where does that trust come from? Well, many things, but we'll focus on the big two. One is the defense partnership. The other is political support and understanding. France is India's second largest arms supplier. They make up around 29% of all sales, plus they're reliable. With the US, you have to worry about last-minute congressional hurdles or opposition from some random senator, but France has always come through. They've sold crucial equipment like submarines and fighter jets to India, even nuclear fuel, back in the year 1982. When the US refused to give India uranium, France stepped in. And this consistency is appreciated. The second factor is political support. In 1999, France did not sanction India after the Pokhran nuclear tests. Paris was understanding of New Delhi's position. In the year 2006, they also supported India's nuclear deal talks with the US. Then President Jacques Chirac visited New Delhi. He asked the US president to not push India too hard. That trust has continued with each French president. Macron has never criticized India's position on Ukraine. His officials have also been silent. So trust is the cornerstone of the India-France relationship. It's a very rare thing in diplomacy. Speaking of which, here's another rare development in diplomacy. 2 big-ticket foreign visits in 3 weeks. That's what Prime Minister Modi has done. First, it was the United States, and now it is France. If you followed them, you would have noticed some similarities. It wasn't your normal boring trips. There was a lot of color, a lot of public engagement, and a lot of ceremony. This has been the hallmark of Prime Minister Modi's diplomacy. Every leader has their own brand. So let's try and understand Modi's brand. 3 things stand out in the last 9 years. One is the personal touch. He's traveled to 65 countries for 70 foreign trips. That shows personal interest. Also, he's keen on building intimate equations. Just think back to all the meetings he's had, the high-profile international meetings. Obama, Trump, Biden, Netanyahu, Macron, Boris Johnson, Putin, Angela Merkel, Mohammed bin Salman. All these leaders had great equations with India's Prime Minister. And that's not always easy. Look at Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. He was great friends with Donald Trump. But Biden won't even invite him to the White House. The Israeli president has got an invite, but the Prime Minister has not. It tells you how hard personal equations are. It's like any friendship. You either click or you don't. And those equations have led to personal honors for Modi. He's received state awards from more than a dozen countries, the latest being France. The second thing that stands out is the public engagement. Indian people are a lot more interested in diplomacy now. It wasn't always the case. In the past, diplomacy was considered elite and secretive. The men in suits would decide India's policy. The people would just nod and agree. Now you see healthy debates on social media. You see YouTubers discuss India's position on Ukraine. You get WhatsApp forwards on what the foreign minister has said in Paris or Brussels. It's a big and positive change. There is more awareness about Indian diplomacy today. People realize it's not just China and Pakistan. It's also Europe, South America, Africa. A lot is happening in the world and people are interested. And finally, factor number 3, the concert style of diplomacy. Why do I say concert? Because like concerts, Prime Minister Modi's trips have a set pattern. It's highly public, it's energetic, and it's viral. For example, the Diaspora events. They've become a feature wherever he goes. There have been events in New York, Washington, Texas, London, Sydney, Tokyo, Paris, and many other cities, and you've seen these events. There's a lot of color and a lot of participation. It is supposed to show the power of the Indian community. And these 3 things sum up Modi's brand of diplomacy. It's personal, it's energetic, and it's more engaging. And other world leaders see this. Most of them are struggling with popularity at home. President Macron, for instance, is hurtling from one protest to another in France. President Biden's approval rating is at 40%. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in the UK was not even elected for his job. At the end of the day, these are all politicians. They all love adulation. They love the crowds. So what do? They piggyback on India and Modi's popularity. And we've seen examples of this. Donald Trump attended the Howdy Modi event in Texas. Anthony Albanese was at the Sydney rally. And Netanyahu used Modi's picture in his campaign video, so you get the idea. But has this style of diplomacy worked? Well, so far it has. India has struck a balance between the West and Russia. India also has the world's support against China. But 9 years is not enough for a comprehensive judgment. As always, history will be the better judge. And why is that? Because these factors are not just about the Prime Minister's personality, it's also about the new India. Younger Indians have a taste for foreign affairs. Other countries see India as a rising power now. These are indisputable facts. So style and policy are the result of two things: the times we live in and the people who shape it.